instituted at least in part to help establish a particular moral fabric in society. But the primary function of law is surely to help order society so that its institutions, organizations, and citizenry can work together harmoniously, regardless of any further moral aims of the law. Indeed, the highest courts have on occasion treated moral beliefs based on conscience or religious faith as grounds for making exceptions in the application of laws.
Excellent. Okay, so can you go ahead and go sentence by sentence and break this down for us, what it's saying?
I had to read this a few times, and I don't, so some argue that laws are.
Do you want to, actually, I can, would this be a good one for me to kind of show you how I break it down? I know I have never, you can totally do it, Nicole, but I also know like I've never, this is your first time too.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I didn't mean to like cut you off, but I was like, oh, you know what, this would be good. Okay, so this is a great example of what I call sitting on a sentence. If I read a sentence and I don't know what it means, I literally sit on it until I get it and I keep going. So for this one, rather than if we're reading them 4 or 5 or 6 times, we're wasting a lot of time, where it would probably be better to take like 15 or 20 seconds to just the first time through and give yourself more grace and let your brain catch up. So what 4 is saying is at least one argue that laws are instituted at least in part to help establish a particular moral fabric in society. Okay, so at least one person argues that laws are created, at least like part of the reason that they're created is to help establish like this moral fabric or this moral code in society. But the primary is an extremely strong word. Primary means like number one. Primary is actually a reason why answer choices on reading comp are wrong often, FYI. But the number one reason or the number one function of law is surely to help order society so that its institutions, organizations, and citizenry can work together harmoniously, regardless of any further moral aims of the code. So it's right now we're saying, but the primary function are these 3 things rather than this moral code. Do we all see that so far? Indeed. So indeed is kind of like to continue on this thought or to keep going. The highest courts have on occasion treated moral beliefs based on conscious or religious faith as grounds for making exceptions in the application of laws. I kind of, this part I had to think about for a second. What does it mean to occasionally treat moral beliefs that are based on our conscience or our religious faith as grounds for making exceptions to applications of laws? Can anybody think of like what an example might be? Everyone's like, don't call on me. Jenny, you got it?
Maybe like, for instance, the PTSD, like if a woman has been getting abused for years and then by her husband, and then she snaps and kills him. You know?
I was thinking, what's the religious faith there? But no, that's conscience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's going against our application of law, but our conscience is telling us like something isn't right here. Excellent. Great job. Great example. All right. So I'm going to see what everyone said. I forget what everyone said the first time around on this one. What were some of the wrong answers that we had? I think C was one.
E, because I saw the best way.
What other ones did we have?
D was wrong.
Okay. Did anybody say, okay, we'll just go through all of the other. Okay, so B, the law has as one of its functions the ordering of society, but it's devoid of moral aims. Why is B wrong? Jasmine?
I saw devoid. That's kind of too strong.
Yeah, we're not saying that we ignore moral goals. We're just saying it's not the number one thing. Excellent. Janati, why is C wrong?
Actions based on religion. We don't, that's kind of out of scope. We don't know if it has protections from the highest courts of the land.
Right, like one, I think we make the assumption that making exceptions, does making exceptions mean protection?
Guaranteed.
I mean, maybe it could, but something that happens on occasion doesn't mean that we tend to do it either, right? So in the example Jenny gave, on occasion we might make an exception for a woman that killed her husband if she was abused. But does that mean we tend to forgive people that killed their husbands that weren't abused, like just in general? No, we just make exceptions for those, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the norm, I should say.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I thought that this sentence,
sorry, because it says religious belief or moral conviction. So that means that I thought like, okay, if it's a religious belief or moral conviction, they'll tend to protect them. Like
Yeah,
it's
but it says on occasion here,
Mhm.
rather than like tend means like we more than not.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh, it's
Okay.
too strong. Yeah. So more often than not, do they get protection, or just like they potentially can, like on occasion, like in these special circumstances, like in PTSD, on these special circumstances, you can be forgiven of a crime.
Okay.
That's not the norm to just forgive the crime, right? We don't tend to just let crime go.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. Brittany, why is D wrong?
I just thought that was too strong. I mean, based on like the first part, the first sentence, it says that some of the laws establish a moral fabric in society, and that one said they should not reflect any moral convictions. I thought it was too strong.
So when it says like treat your like thou shalt not kill, like nope, we can't have that because that reflects a moral conviction. So we can't have that as a law. Like no, that would be silly. And then Nicole, why is E wrong?
Best way to promote cooperation. I think because they're saying the best way to promote something, and I don't feel like I read that in the paragraph.
Right. Just because the primary function is to get these things, that doesn't mean it's the best way to go about these things. I think a lot of people would say, think about the mask, right? Like this is going to be a controversial thing, but some people have said like if they wouldn't have made it a law, more people would have did it willingly because they don't like being told what to do. So like maybe there's a better way to go about it, like reward for something rather than just implementing a law. So even though the number one goal of forcing people to wear masks is to promote, let's say, citizenry, maybe there's a better way to go about getting people to wear a mask than just creating a law. Maybe it's some other thing. Do you see how the difference between those are? Sorry, that was a bad example, but that's like the only thing I can think of right now. And then why is A correct, Nicole?
I think the way I got to it was process of elimination. I thought the other answers were wrong.
Yeah, I love the word sometimes. So it says the manner in which laws are applied at least once takes into account the beliefs of the people governed by those laws. Yeah, because it says based on conscience on occasion. So on occasion, that means at least once, right? On at least one occasion, we make exceptions for people's conscience and religious faith. Would that be taking into account the beliefs of the people?
Yes.
Do we like
Yes.
A?
yes.
Excellent.
So what screwed me up with this one is like the beliefs of the people governed by those laws. So that's the rules and stuff. Because I was thinking it had to be the courts, but the beliefs. So it's the laws that the people go off of and follow.
The manner in which laws are, well, it's saying the manner, like how laws are applied sometimes take into account people's conscience and faith, is what A is saying. So instead of saying the manner in which laws are applied, you could just say the way laws are enforced sometimes takes into account people's conscience and religious faith.
But then it says governed by those laws. What does that mean?
That's just like fluff, where like who is governed by those laws? Obviously, like just the everyday citizen, right?
Oh, okay.
Like, aren't we all governed by our laws? Definitely just extra fluff there.
Okay.
All right, last one. Brittany, can you read 7 for us? And can you go sentence by sentence and break it down?